Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the another insightful session of Creative Weekend Talks, episode 173. I'm your host, Sai Madhuri, and it's wonderful to have you all join us today. Creative is a vibrant community of curious minds dedicated to sharing and expanding knowledge. Our tagline, Knowledge Square, sharing knowledge increases our knowledge, reflects our mission to explore topics behind conventional academics and encourage constructive thinking. We hold our weekend talk on Zoom every Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m. and live stream the session on our YouTube channel Creative GPT, making our discussions accessible to a broader audience. Today's topic is AI and education. This session will delve into the journey and significance of artificial intelligence. We are honored to have Shri Kollegala Sharma, former Chief Scientist, Central Food Technological Research Institute, Mysore, and renowned science communicator in Canada, as our guest speaker of this session. With his depth knowledge and insights, we look forward to understanding the artificial intelligence. Before engaging the talk, we have Nayana to give brief introduction about today's speaker. Over to Nayana.
Thank you, Madhuri. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nayana. Today we are here with Ambali Srikantan Kalyana Venkata Subramanya Sharma, a well-known science communicator in Canada, is a former chief scientist of the prestigious Central Food Technological Research Institute, Mysore, a postgraduate in zoology. He has been communicating science in Canada since 1984 under the pen name Kollegala Sharma. He has had experience in editing as an assistant editor in Science Reporter, as a columnist for 16 years in Kannada Prabha, in audio as a coordinator for several programs of Vigyan Prasar for All India Radio, as a podcaster for the past 6 years, producing a weekly first and then a daily Kannada science podcast called Janasuddhi. The podcast has attracted was featured in prestigious journals like Nature and Economic Times. Also, it was selected as a finalist in the International Science Festival Falling Walls Engage held in November 2020. Sri Sharma is also the first to begin a science blog in Canada. He has also been a trainer in workshop held by various agencies like KRVP, KSTA, Vigyan Prasar, NCSTC, National Translation Mission, and Pratham Books on writing science in Kannada and translation of science and technology texts. He is also mentoring teachers of sighted and blind in time, teaching science effectively. His podcast, Janasuddhi, reaches nearly 3,000 people every day, besides being broadcast for a wider audience through 13 community radios, including 3 community radios in Mysore. The podcast has cast around 900 episodes so far. Sri Sharma has contributed more than 4,500 articles on science in Kannada, around 250 in English, 900 podcasts, and about 10 science fiction short stories. One of his books, Marala Melina Hechchigalu, received the Best Popular Science Book Award from the Karnataka Science and Technology Academy in 2010. Janaprashni, another of his book, received the Nadoja Prize for Children's Literature instituted by the Karnataka Sangha Shivamogga. The Vision Group on Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka, has also bestowed him with a state-level award for Best Science Communication Efforts in 2011. His translation of a Kannada story received the Katha Best Translation Award in 1994. One of his studies on science communication in Kannada is published in a book, The Challenges of Communicating Science in Regional Languages, Experiments in Kannada, published by Springer Verlag. Sri Sharma has also trained PhD students in science writing, 10 of whom received awards under the AWSAR, a competition on science writing for PhD students held by DST. He is also an evaluator and has participated as a jury in national competitions organized by Vigyan Prasad New Delhi. He has served and serving as a member of committee of central government on science communication as well as on the task force subcommittee on science education of government of Karnataka. At present, he is involved along with the Mysore Science Theatre Festival Trust, Mysore in driving a science theatre movement in Karnataka. More than 21 plays have been produced and have seen a total 100 performances since 2022 at schools, colleges, theatre and research institutions. Sri Sharma also is editing and producing a science monthly in Kannada called Kutuhali Kannada, which is distributed free in PDF format across Karnataka. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity, for giving me this to introduce such a remarkable person. Over to you, Sai Madhuri.
Thank you, Nayana. Without further ado, let's begin episode 173 of Creative Weekend Talks. Over to Sharma sir. Sir?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And thank you, Naina, for that long and very clear introduction. I don't know. Those are the things that I did to help communication in Kannada. Okay, but that's one of the things. Today, I'm going to speak about artificial intelligence and its maybe impact on education in coming days. I'm not an AI creator. Basically, I'm a user. So if you look at the talk today, okay, the Zoom talk that I am using, I'm also using an AI which removes all the background noise here. So that is very convenient for me to speak to you in a clear voice, although there is a lot of construction work going around in my house, around my house. So this is one of the uses of AI, only one of the uses. But there are lots of things that happen with AI. Let me start with my PowerPoint presentation. Can I share this? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh, okay. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. So we start with why AI and what does it mean? Okay. AI is artificial intelligence. So what is intelligence? The first thing is that intelligence is usually associated with humans. Not that other animals don't have, they also have intelligence, but to some lesser extent. The human intelligence is supposed to be one of the, the very evolved intelligence in the world, at least in India, at least in the on the earth, but also in the universe, because we still don't know whether there is any other intelligence elsewhere. So all that we know about intelligence is that there are humans and there are animals and there are plants. Okay, but the humans have this capability of thinking, which is one of the signs of intelligence. If I'm thinking here, if I make a mistake and I'm correcting myself, like I did in the previous sentence, when I said instead of Earth, India, and then I immediately corrected, and that shows that yes, I have some intelligence, and therefore I can correct the mistakes that I have done. So, intelligence is defined as an ability to learn. First, we learn, then we try to understand, and that gives us some understanding of the world or the surroundings that we have, or the physical objects or the society. And then we use that knowledge to solve problems And while solving the problems, we also take some decisions. And we do this and then communicate it to others. So to give you a small example about what intelligence is, okay, let's suppose I have a cup of water with me, okay, and if I ask you to take that cup of water, I'm not holding it, so I have just kept it on the table and ask you to take it. Would you take it as it is? So you will first see whether it is cold or hot. And that is the learning. How do you learn whether it is cold or hot? Because you already have a knowledge that if it is hot, definitely there will be a little bit of vapor coming out of it, and therefore it is hot. So that is the understanding. So any hot fluid will be giving out a fumes or vapors, and that shows that it is hot. And if it is hot, it is very difficult to hold it in your hand. So we first learn that it is a hot thing. Then we understand that hot things can hurt us, and we use this knowledge to take a decision. Okay. And then suppose you have to actually hold that hot water glass. Then what do? So we solve this problem because then we understand the other things also, related things from a different domain. So when we say domain, not exactly related to that cup, from something else. So we know that a paper doesn't get so hot even if it touches a hot object. So therefore we use a tissue paper and try to pick up the cup. Okay, this is this solving of the problem. So you relate two different domain knowledge, the knowledge of what the knowledge that the water is hot in the cup, and the knowledge that a paper doesn't get hot when it touches a hot object. These two you combine, and then you solve a problem of picking up a hot water cup. And you take a decision whether you can pick up that or not, depending upon whether that hot water cup is a small one or a big one. If it is too big to carry or too big to hold in the with the paper, then you will say that, okay, you will not touch it. Okay. So this is the sequence of what happens when we instinctively pick up a cup of hot water or hot cup of coffee from the table. Okay. And then if that is the case, then you also communicate. So these are the important aspects of intelligence: learning, understanding, using that understanding or the knowledge, then solving the problems, first identifying the problems and then solving the problems, and while solving, taking specific decisions, then communicating those decisions to others also. So all these aspects come under the intelligence. There are certain other things also, like you must have a memory to store the knowledge, you must have a system to retrieve the knowledge, and all these things. So if this is the intelligence, can a machine do? When we say artificial intelligence, can a machine do? So ideally, an artificial intelligence should have these abilities, what we call as cognitive abilities: learning, reasoning, and solving problems. So these abilities must be available, must be there with the AI. Then it should also try to understand information across different domains. So when I say domains, from various different fields, like we assessed information from a hot water cup and also with the paper. So similar kind of information from different domains is combined. And then it should perform tasks which is unfamiliar, or or a task which it is not actually trained to do. As we understand, any machine is designed in a specific way to perform a specific task. If in the course of doing this, it faces a problem, then it stops doing the task or completing the task. And instead, if it can retrieve some information, get some information, use that information, and then do a task which it is not actually designed to do, then we can call it as a sort of a intelligence. And this is what we call as artificial intelligence. But as of today, If you ask me whether we have an ideal complete AI, I would say no, because there are still certain areas where the AI fails, and that is important. Some of the AI may perform tasks which appear as very intelligent and very difficult for us to do, but then those are again trained tasks, and those are not unfamiliar to those machines. And this is what we know about, and that is the present status of AI. We still do not have a completely artificial intelligence, completely fully artificial intelligence. Okay. So, how do these AI systems work? Just an example, the AI system works with data, what we call as information. And the data, there must be a set of data which it retrieves, understands, finds patterns in that data, and then uses algorithms or stepwise instructions to learn from that data and then makes a decision. So this is how usually it is done. In a computer, it is not like that. You keep on giving instructions and the computer performs step-by-step data, but step-by-step task. But here it is not the case. In AI, the task is done on its own. It first selects a set of data, identifies a pattern, and then goes. For example, I have in this picture, maybe you can call it as a set of pills, or different size pills, or different sizes of dots, or anything. Okay, that is left to you. You decide what it is. But then what does it show? It is just randomly arranged. So if you take more data of this, then you will see a pattern. You get a smiley here. Now, this is how, when there is a pattern, and when you see this, you don't call it as an arrangement of dots now. You call it as a smiley. Okay. That is how the AI also recognizes pattern and then does. Next time when it sees a pattern like this, a circle within a dark, dots, a white arrangement like this, it immediately says that this is a smiley or this is a circle, and then compares it with whatever it is finding just then. So it makes it easier to do or take a decision further. So suppose you give a circle as a this one, and then ask the AI what is it. So it goes back to the original experience of finding this smiley pattern and says that, compares that with the circle and says this is not smiley, but it is a circle. Okay, so this is how the AI generally works. Having said that, what kind of AI do we have? AI is a technique, a tool, okay? But behind every AI, there is what is called as machine learning process. That is a technology, okay? The machine learning technology over which the AI is a subset. And there are several things in the AI. For example, simply the basic thing is machine learning. If you take your smartphone and start typing in a message in WhatsApp or any other messenger, if you start typing a, yes, and leave it at that, it gives you 3 or 4 suggestions. It can be as, it can be as, it can be ask, or anything. But it doesn't give it randomly. What it does is the suggestions are given based on the number of times those words are used frequently in your messages. So that means it has learned something that the kind of messages that you send, and from those messages it picks up those words which are very commonly used and which start with a and with a second letter s. Okay, and so that's the pattern that it identifies, and then looks for similar kind of words with increasing number of letters, and it suggests those things. So this is machine learning, and this is already there. It has been there for almost 50 years in various forms. And then we have robotics. Okay, robotics, again, it is seen even in your house. Okay, if you have a smart vacuum cleaner at home, a robo vacuum cleaner, which goes around the house cleaning and vacuum cleaning on its own, you have an AI system there. Okay, but this AI system doesn't ask you for instructions. All the instructions are already there. The instructions are simple. So it has to first map out a plan or map out a area, and then according to that map, it has to move around and clean. That's all. So if anything comes in between, it just goes around that. It doesn't solve the problem. Okay. And so it's a very simplest form of AI, but there are improved versions also where if the dirt is more, it starts running around in the place more than in other places. So this is something different. Robotics is the another one. Then you have computer vision. Computer vision. Okay. And these are already in use even in places like Bangalore or Mysore, where you have the traffic light systems, which are operated by AI. So you have a camera which identifies, which sees whether there is enough traffic or the traffic is thin or traffic is heavy, and then whether the vehicles are moving in which direction, and then it takes a decision. It's shows the red light or green light accordingly. Okay, that's another one. Then you have a natural language systems, the Chat GPT or Google Gemini and other things are similar. The AI systems that we usually talk about in recent times are these natural language systems. They are so called because you cannot instruct a robot vacuum cleaner to say that, okay, go to my room on the left side and clean that. It doesn't understand. Okay. Now you have to tell that 90, go take a, or you have to create a map and say that, show the map and say that you please start your cleaning from this place. Okay, that's the difference here. Instead, if it is a natural language using system, a processing system, what we call as large language processing or natural language processing, and there are several different versions here. And in this, you can simply instruct in the language that you are using, in English generally, and you can tell the system that yes, this task has to be done. It understands, then processes that and processes the information that is given to the system, and accordingly it does the task. Okay, this needs a lot of technology, and let's not go into the detail there, but that's how it is done. The expert systems are a little higher versions of artificial intelligence, where they collect all this data. The communication can be in natural language or other things, and then they take a decision. They take a decision and say that, okay, this is what we do. Let's say, for example, if it is a driverless car, then it needs these kind of expert systems. To drive is one, and then to take a decision whether to stop in the middle of the road or whether to take the car to the side or stop it elsewhere. These are the decisions it has to take, and those decisions are taken by the expert systems. And these expert systems are very important, and they are used in several other decision making cases, including, for example, if you're looking at the railway booking system, if you are 65 plus and you generally, when you book and when you enter your age, automatically it looks for all those vacant berths on the lower side, okay, lower berths, and then it assigns one of them, and this is done by that automatically. Okay, so these are the different types of AI systems that we have, and these are used in various different situations. Now the question is, can we use them in education? And when we say education, I usually consider today, for today's talk, I consider the education up to secondary level, and not beyond that. Beyond that is a different ballgame. Self-study also comes there. But up to the secondary school, can we use these AI systems? And if so, what impact does it have on our education? Okay. One more AI is generative AI, the ChatGPT or the DeepSeek, or if you take Gemini, Meta AI, these are all different AI systems that are already available to us. If you look at carefully at the Zoom window here at the bottom, you have an AI assistant here also, and that is again one more AI system incorporated into Zoom. 2 years ago, it was not there. Now, what it does, you can try later and find out. But this generative AI is something which uses different domain knowledge or puts them together and then creates something for you. Okay. And that creation can be an essay, can be an answer, can be a letter, many of these things. Okay. It's a subset of course, machine learning uses what is called as deep learning, where you have different layers of pattern recognition. So therefore, if you have only one pattern recognition, that is different. If you have different layers, then the work becomes faster. Then generates outputs like images, music, video, and more. And it's very interesting that in the last 3 years, this specific area has grown so much that today you can just ask, how would you look if you turn 85? You may be even 15 years today, but asking that question, you will get and upload your photo, and you will get a old lady or old man's photo, which could be you after maybe 60 years or 70 years. So this is the kind of guesswork that it does based on your photo and then gives it to you. So how does it do? You don't know whether that is really how you would be looking after 85 or not, but then it has created a new photo of you, and that is generative AI. Similarly, the ChatGPT, you can just give instructions, what we call as prompts. So you can prompt ChatGPT to write an essay on Kollegala Sharma, and it might write an essay, and you can tell it that I want 500 words essay, 1000 words essay, 1500 words essay, and it will give you that essay. Now, that is the power of technology. But then, where does this power take us is the question. And what do we need AI for in education? There are several goals that artificial intelligence is supposed to take us to in education field. And these are called also the advantages of AI in education. And I have listed some of them here. And one of them is, of course, anywhere, anytime, resource for all. Okay. Education is something where you need resources. The resources can be a teacher, a book, a library, a tablet, a pencil, eraser, whatever it is. The things that are required to learn, these are called resources. And these resources are not always available. Many times we have been handicapped when we don't find a sharpener to sharpen our pencil, or an eraser to correct a mistake that we have done. And these are the kind of things. But most importantly, the resources, the knowledge resources, the books, and the information is not always accessible to everybody. We may have a library in our school or college, but then it may not have a book on artificial intelligence. Then if you want to learn about that, where do you go? You have to actually go to your teacher or a mentor or someone else who has the information and seek, and that is the resource. Now, AI can provide you this kind of information or resource at any time, anywhere. You don't have to say that, okay, today is Sunday, so I won't, the library is closed. Today is Saturday, so the teacher won't talk to me. Or, okay, the information is very specific and teacher may not be knowing. none of these questions are there. This information can be made available to everybody. Everybody in the sense, anyone who wants that information. Not necessarily a student who has access to library, not necessarily only the student who has access to the library or the teacher. Okay? And that is the power of AI that we can have. Computers could have also given that, but the AI has just scaled up that kind of a power. And so if I want some information on, let's say, a rose flower, all that I need to do is to ask a chat GPT. It will give me a set of information from which I can start and then go further. Okay. Earlier, even this was very difficult. That's the plus point. Okay. Then secondly, the teaching can happen not in the classrooms. It can happen anywhere. Okay. We found this situation 2 years ago when the COVID came, where, people could not attend the classes, go to the school, go even out of the room, but they still had to attend the classes and learn. Okay. That is when even the Zoom got very popular. The Zoom that we are using today got very popular. Online classrooms started opening and a lot of things came. But over the period, when the technology also developed, the communication technology also became powerful, and we had systems like highly powerful smartphones or computers were available. The AI also got improved, and that is how today we find a lot of AI systems that help us in learning. Okay, I'll give some examples later. So you don't have to stay in the classroom to learn. You can also go out. You can stay at home and still be learning a lot more information, gather a lot more knowledge. Okay, knowledge, please note. Then there can be better management of time. Today, if you have to do this, usually when I talk to students, one of the most common complaint is that we don't have time, sir. We don't have time to read. We don't have time to study. We spend a lot of time on the bus. We spend a lot of time doing this and that, and so we don't study. The teachers also sometimes complain that they don't have time other than administrative tasks, especially in government schools, and so therefore they get very little time for classroom transactions. So that is what we call as teaching. Now, this time management can be better if we are using AI. Okay, you can prepare a set of lessons, then pass it on to the students whenever you have time, and they can also use it whenever they have the time, and they can also answer whenever they want, and still you can evaluate. So these kind of systems are already available. If you look at Coursera courses on internet, or any other edX course, or even Khan Academy courses, so they all operate with the same kind of thing. It is like you have OTT streaming, cinema. See, I may be in US, or someone else may be in Australia, and a third one may be in Finland. Each of us will be in a different time zone, and we want to watch the movie at the same time, or at different times when compared to that. Compared to me, they have different times, and still all of us can watch the same movie, and it is streamed same way simultaneously without any problem to each one of us. So which is not possible if you are only looking at a theater. Okay, if you want to go only to a theater, or to even a uh, multiplex. So the problem is, there you have to be physically present, and all of you should be together, and then only you can watch the movie. But not so here. And you can carry this anywhere. You can be moving and still learning. Okay, all these plus points are there, and AI just makes it much, much, much better. Okay, then it comes to assessments. In any learning, in any classroom learning, you have first the teaching, and then learning, and then finding out whether the learning has actually happened or not. So that's called assessment, all the exams that we take. Okay. These exams, assessments, then project works, all these are to test whether the knowledge has been acquired properly. And that is the assessment. And this assessment can also be helped by artificial intelligence. And that is one of the major areas where artificial intelligence might help us in school education or in classroom education. So, how do we use AI? There are several instances. One second. For example, it is easy to have a personalized learning. What is personalized learning? In a classroom, we have 40 students. And we know that when I start teaching in a classroom, all the 40 students will not be attentive. I cannot talk to each one of them individually. And this is very, very important. If we cannot engage each student individually, we will be doing at least engagement or getting the attention of most of the students. And once that is done, we start exchanging information. Whatever I know, I'll be reaching out to you and you will be learning from that. So this is actually the classroom teaching transaction, what we call as you learn. But then not everyone can learn at the same rate, at the same speed. Not everyone can read at the same speed or at the same rate. So if that is the case, if I start speaking very fast, so many of you may miss out a lot of them. Okay. And some of you might pick up very easily. So the question is, how do I reach out to even those people who miss out listening to me? And that is personalized teaching. Okay. You can also say the other way. There are many such situations. Many times it is possible that in a classroom, there are slow learners, fast learners, and there are also students who can learn, but they have not had a good experience previously. And so therefore, they are not competent enough to build on whatever knowledge they may not have a prior knowledge, sufficient prior knowledge to learn fresh things in a specific area. So if that is the case, they need to be given special attention. They have to be taught the basics and then they have to be given the further information. How do we do that in a classroom? In a classroom, this is very difficult. So what we can do at the most is ask those children, ask those students to learn whatever they need to learn themselves or in some other places, and then go further. Okay. And many students do this by taking tuitions privately. And that's one of the important reasons for tuitions also going, or they can also be helped by parents, but unfortunately parents also will not be knowing about the subject. The domain knowledge may not be there, so then again the problem happens. So the tuitions becomes inevitable and then the time becomes very less for each of us to manage. Instead, if we can teach each of them, I prepare a lesson and distribute it over WhatsApp, and each one of you can listen to that simultaneously, but at different speeds. So this at the moment you can decide. You can decide on your WhatsApp whether you want to listen to my lecture at the same speed that I'm speaking or at a faster speed, so that you are a fast learner, you can learn it fast, or at a slower speed so that you can take in everything without missing anything. So this is possible at your end right now. But this can also be done automatically if we start using AI. And AI can be used in such a way that when a lesson is given, if people are listening to that through a system. The system can identify each student, his ability, and then deliver the lecture in the way that that student requires. That is one of the things, very important. Then there is second thing that is called adaptive learning. Adaptive learning. This is a case where the teachers actually identify who needs what. Okay, so everybody need not learn the same way, same time. Everybody need not do the same exercises simultaneously, and you don't have to have the same set of questions to each and everyone to assess their ability to understand the subject. As I said, each one of us may have different abilities to understand subject. And if I have a class of 50 people, and uh, each of them coming from a different village. So if I have to give an example of something to them, I may have to look at 50 examples. Okay. Or if I give one example, the student who is familiar with that example will learn better than the students who are not very familiar with that example. Okay. If I say that, okay, Newton learned about gravity because the apple fell on his head. And this may be a story, but let's take for example. Now here I am using two different examples. One is the apple and the other one is Newton. So in my classroom, it is possible that there may be students who have not seen an apple, who don't know what an apple is or how big an apple tree is. So for them, it is just an information. The understanding will not be there. Now, suppose if, let's say that the AI is used in this context, and the AI has the ability to identify each student and his environment and his level of understanding in the classroom. So the AI would say to each one of them a different example. It may not say about Newton, but it might give a different example about Apple. Let's say that mango fell on your head, or it might say that a orange fell, or a lemon when it falls to the ground. So like this. So the examples can be different. So that's the adaptive learning. These students can also learn adaptively. So they can use the examples they want, and they can also learn differently. Okay, there are many things. I have already given some of the examples here. For example, if you want to learn a language which you are not familiar, which you are not familiar, then that language is can be learned using Duolingo. Duolingo uses games and other things to teach you the language, whatever may be your mother tongue. And wherever you may be, even if you don't listen to that language regularly, you can still learn French. You can still learn German. And Duolingo gives you that kind of a capability. And it also prepares lessons in such a way that if you're doing a specific mistake regularly, your exercises will be more towards correcting that particular mistake, and so that you learn that much better than the exercises where you are already perfect. Okay, so specifically your the outcomes will be, your learning will be much better because you are being given a specific feedback where you are doing more mistake. Let's take another example of this adaptive learning, where if I write an essay, and if I ask say any of you to assess the essay and give a review of it, you will all give a review that is different, mainly because the review will depend upon what you know about the subject and how you read about that and how you understand that. Okay, so it is mostly subjective. If the same thing can be done here, if I write an essay And see, when we have these kind of variety of reviews, we don't know what mistake we have done and where we can improve. Okay. In adaptive learning, it is easier because the AI identifies specifically what are the weakness that you have in your essay, and those parts it will point out and ask you to strengthen those parts. Now that is specific, very specific. I will give you one example. We have been using these AI systems to see whether the writings that we have done is okay or not. Okay. Say, for example, I write a lot of articles regularly to various newspapers, and I give this to several AI, systems, and ask them about the general acceptability and how people will accept this article, whether it is readable or not. I usually get reviews which says that, okay, this is a too generalized notion. You have to give a specific example. This is not correct. This is biased. Okay. And this bias should not be there in your article. So these are some of the things that I get from AI, a support. Without this, probably I would not have even noticed it, and my readers also would not have noticed. But then it helps me to perfect my article, and this is one of the ways of adaptive writing. In case of writing exercises, or in drawing, or in music, this kind of adaptive learning helps a lot, and especially in language learning, it's extremely useful. Okay. Of course, I have talked about objective assessments. You can do objective assessments based upon the each student. You can prepare for 100 students 100 multiple answer questions. Okay, multiple choice questions, 100 different question papers. For each one of them a separate different one, but again based on your curriculum, and objectively you can assess their specific understanding of that particular topic. This is possible with AI. You can prepare a number of question papers without spending more time on that. Right now, if you want to prepare a question paper, you spend a lot of time in doing that. But you can do the same thing using AI, because AI can do these kind of repetitive jobs easily on its own. So where we spend a lot of time in school in getting nothing out of it, like preparing question paper or assessments, these things can be given to AI, and AI can help us in doing these jobs easier. So that gives us more time to give attention to students or to learn ourselves, because the teachers also have to be always updated, and like AI also has to be regularly updated. So now, oh, somebody is doing this here. Okay. Personalized learning is something I already talked about. One of the advantages is that if you have 1,000 students in your school, you can analyze data about individuals, and that data can give insights into in what areas they have a strength, and in what areas they are lagging, and why. This assessment will help you to deliver better. Okay. It's as simple as that. Sometimes, suppose you are teaching them through your smartphone, and the AI can always observe and see whether they are looking at the phone or not, how many are looking at the phone, and how many are answering the questions, how many are typing other things. All these things can be recorded, and that will give you an idea about whether your teaching is actually engaging them or not, how many of them are really interested in your teaching or not. So instead of your routine examination and all, this can actually help a teacher also to improve himself or herself. Okay. Then different learners have different skill gaps, and that gap can be filled in. So somebody has not learned this particular lesson And you don't know about that if you are in a classroom today. But if you're using AI, by the way that they answer or from the answers that they give, you know that they do not have knowledge about one particular chapter which is essential, and you can always make them learn that in a specific way. So this is possible. Universal access, I have told, this is a very important aspect of AI. You can have a real time. As I'm speaking now here in English, I asked Supriya madam whether she wants a talk in Kannada or in English. Usually I give a talk in Kannada, and that's my preferred language. She wanted it to be in English. So that means my usual listeners are today left out. If I had been using an AI system to deliver this talk, where the AI uses the speech to text or speech to speech conversion. This is today possible. Okay. Only last month, I think the Microsoft, I don't remember this, announced a specific technology where you can directly, as I am speaking, the my speech can be directly translated into various different languages. So if I'm a Kannadiga and I give a talk in Kannada, and if my audience are Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, or any other language, simultaneously they can understand in their own language all that I am speaking. Now look at it in a classroom. If in the classroom you have a mic which is in AI, and you are speaking through that in any language that you want, and your students are from different language background, automatically they learn everything from their language. Okay, they learn everything through their language, their mother tongue, and it's such a beautiful experience. You can also think of something else like this. You're watching a theater, a drama, and the play is in maybe let's say a very strange Greek language, and you don't understand a single dialogue of it. But if the AI system is integrated into that, what happens is that you can choose your language of hearing on your headphone or headset, and automatically what you will be watching is the theater with the dialogues in your language. That is very, very real, and it is possible. Already you have several advertisements coming on TV which use this kind of technology where a text is translated into several different languages, and it is spoken by not people like me, but by artificial voiceover voices. And this you can listen, you will hear on the TV as a natural language. I'm also using this. For example, we produce a podcast called Jana Suddhi, and many of the Jana Suddhi podcasts, we use AI voiceover. I just give them the text, and the text is converted into a voice, and that voice we use to produce a podcast. You can also create music out of this. So all these technologies are developing and are already available in a small form. Integrating these into educational technology will help us much, much, much more than what we are trying to do now. Okay. So, like I said, all these technologies can make the classroom accessible to people who speak different languages. But more than that, it can also help people with visual or hearing impairments. One of the things that we have today is that the visually impaired people don't usually experience or don't usually join science or mathematics classes because they think that it is difficult. But AI can always help them do it better. Okay. And how? That's a different lecture, but it can be done. So the last question that we have to ask is, we have AI We have AI systems. AI is very capable. We have seen that in many instances, and we can use it in the classroom. But can we trust an AI? Now, the picture here shows you that, okay? Learning is not simply accumulation of knowledge. It is not just information gathered, although I put it up in the slide that you learn, then you gather the knowledge and then use the knowledge. But then this gathering of the knowledge and then use of the knowledge also requires what is called as a skill. Okay. Here, the example of that is swimming. Now, swimming is, of course, a physical activity. These kind of physical activities where you can have a lot of physics, a lot of mechanics, or a lot of specific actions which need to be repeated, and that can always be taught by an AI to a person by showing a picture or anything, but still it doesn't help you swim in water. And that is the role of a teacher. A teacher cannot be missing from this entire exercise where AI is being used. So in education, especially in primary and up to high school education, I see that the teacher still have a role. Probably they have to shift their role or change their, the way they use the classroom or the tools, and they have to include AI also as a tool into the classroom and then use that. That will be very important. We already have virtual teachers. You have virtual tutors also. Okay, tuition rooms where you just type in a question and a chatbot, there's no person there. A chatbot gives you an answer. Okay, and that uses artificial intelligence to answer you the question using large language models. But that is only one aspect of it. Okay, it cannot teach you, for example, how to make a dosa. It can tell you that yes, you make a dosa batter and light the stove, pour on the tawa, but it will not tell you how to test whether the tawa is hot or not. It can tell you that yes, tawa, if the tawa is so many degrees hot, then you can pour batter over that. That is knowledge. But then the skill is how do you test whether that tawa is that hot or not. So you sprinkle some water, which is learned from others, and that those kind of skills cannot be taught by AI. So therefore, if we think that the teachers will be replaced by AI in future, for some of the aspects, it may not. For example, if I am teaching a specific course on mathematics, yes, some of the examples I give may have to be done individually. Okay. And then the solving of the problems, there can be multiple ways of solving a single problem. So there are already smart boards where you just write a problem and on the other side you get the answers, scrolling down. So this is a reality. But then does it help us to find out alternative answers? What are the alternative answers? For example, if I say 2 into 2 is 4, then it also is equal to 2 plus 2 is also 4. Okay. How does that knowledge come to me? And who teaches me? Will AI teach that or someone else? We don't know. Second thing is fairness. We still face this problem in classrooms. Many of us feel that the teacher is not, just to everyone, and there is some partiality and other things. Although most of the teachers are not like that. Most of the teachers are very fair, very just to almost all the students that they teach. But still, this feeling is there. And this feeling may be more in case of AI. Although we say that AI or the machine learning or these systems are objective and are not subjective. They still depend upon what is called as training. And this training is nothing but the data set that we give it to them. Okay. The more amount of data that we give, more clearly they can see a vision, they can see a pattern. And if the data set is only from one particular area, then that is what they are going to see. Okay. And that is what they are going to give an answer. Okay. So that is what they are going to teach others also. Say, for example, I asked a question sometime back to ChatGPT when it was very new, 3 years ago. I asked it, do you know Kollegala Sharma? What is he and what does he do? Okay. And it said, no, I don't know Kollegala Sharma. So can you please tell me about him? Give me a clue. So then I only answered. I said, Kollegala Sharma is a science communicator. Science communicator. Yes. And the answer it gave? It said, okay. Then it gave me a 500-word essay on Kollegala Sharma. And it said that I was a physicist and I learned physics from Indian Institute of Science. And I have written 10 books, popular science books. 3 of them have got award and everything, all of which are wrong. Okay. So what this was doing was, it was picking up information from the database that it had. Fortunately or unfortunately, in the last century, most of the popular science writers have been physicists from various universities and various countries. And therefore, it generalized that information and said that most science communicators are physicists. That was the thing. And then it related that to India and said that in India, the topmost institutions about which information is available to it was probably from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Indian Institute of Science, or IISCR, and this kind of thing. It picked up one of those prominent institutes where more science communicators were there, and it said, okay, so Kollegala Sharma must be from there, which is not in, it is intelligent, yes. Okay, it saw a pattern and picked up this, but it is not true. Okay, a human would have cross-checked all these things and given the information. And that is very, very important. Okay. And when it has this kind of set of data, especially biased data, saying that in some, it may have a lot of stories collected, which says that, okay, people coming from Sharma's community are always dull, then maybe this information will be passed on continuously. And that is not fair. Okay. And it might also judge people based on that information, which is again not okay. And this, especially in medical field, we have a lot of fear about this. And even in education, this might be one of the strong, reasons to doubt about AI. It may not be fair. So if it finds that a person is coming from, has studied in Kannada medium school, so it might even feel that he may not be ready to understand English. Okay, so this kind of bias against gender, bias against communities, bias against races can be inbuilt in AI. So we need to be very careful to see that the AI is fair. Okay, AI is accountable. So suppose we give a decision to AI to assess the students and pass a number of students. It might select a few people as the best ones and rank them or make them pass the classes and may detain others. Okay. Now, what we need to be very careful about here is that, is AI doing it fairly? How is it doing? Is it doing it simply randomly like a lottery? Or is it doing with a logic? And is the logic correct? These questions have to be asked. And these have to be transparent with any system that uses evaluation, that is used for evaluation. And therefore, this transparency is absolutely necessary. So without that, I won't trust AI. Okay. Then when we do all these things for either personalized teaching or let's say adaptive learning, or let's say for any other thing, we have a very close interaction with this learner or with the participant. Okay. And what is the kind of interaction? What he has learned, what he or she has learned, how much she has learned, what is the score in the previous class, what is the score today, and what is he weak in, what is he strong in, and whether she knows this language or not, where does she come from, what community is she, all this information is available to it. And if it is an intelligent system, can it behave or change its answers based on this? This is related to how fair is AI kind of question. Okay, this is what we have to be very careful about, because most of these systems that we use, if you start using any of the system, all of them will ask you to log in, register, and give this information and that information, and all these informations will be available to this AI, and that AI will be using that to learn. Okay, and that is a data set it requires also. And now this data set, how are we sure that it is not misused? How are we sure that because of this kind of information, it avoids giving a teaching, or it avoids teaching in a specific way, in a beneficial way to a set of students? We don't know. So that has to be very careful about that. Then lastly, will it affect safety? This is a concern everywhere. Now, when the whole information is available to someone else who about whom we don't even know, where he is. Now, what he does with that information, we don't know. So the cybercrime is real. A lot of things are happening, and when I have my students on such a system, how do I make sure that my students are safe, this information doesn't harm them in any way, is something that we need to be very careful. Okay, this is one of the things. Yesterday I did an exercise on one of the best systems on um, AI, that is DeepSeek. I'm closing this PowerPoint because this is the end of that. Okay. You can note down my email, kollegal@gmail.com, and my phone number if you have any questions. Then I'm just opening one more system here and would like to show you a PowerPoint, sorry, a page where I did an exercise yesterday. I'm sharing this. Okay. I hope you all can see this. Let me just. So this was the question I asked. The number 8549176320 is special. Does it have any special properties? Okay. This is the question I asked. I asked this question because the same question was asked 2 days ago to one more AI system, where it gave a list of several different properties. Like, for example, this is a number which is the sum of the individual the squares of individual numerals that are there. Okay, that means it is the whole number is sum of 8 cube, 5 cube, 4 cube, 9 cube, 1 cube, 7 cube, 6 cube, 3 cube, 2 cube, and 0 cube. Okay. Oh, this was the answer that it gave, which was wrong. So we asked the next question, are you sure? Okay, when it gave this question, when it gave this answer, so the next question we asked was whether is it true? And subsequently it said, sorry, I am wrong, and this is not correct, and it gave some other answer. Again we asked, are you sure? Please check. Again it checked and it came back. Then slowly it started giving this. Similar exercise when I did, this is what it gave. Okay, it said this is a pan digital number. Pan digital property, I don't know whether that property is there in mathematics or not, but if I'm not a mathematics student, I would believe that this is correct. And this says it contains all the digits from 0 to 9 exactly once, making it a 10-digit pan digital number. Okay, I don't know whether there is a specific class of words called pan digital numbers or pan digital property. I have not checked it. Okay, so I should I believe this or not? I don't know. Why I am telling this is, the other day I asked AI to write an essay and also include 2 Kannada proverbs into it. And what it did was, it did include 2 Kannada proverbs, but it was its own creation. There is no such Kannada proverb that I know of. Okay, so there was no Kannada proverb. It created a new Kannada proverb. Now that is fantastic. It creates a new one, but then that is not the fact, right? So if I am writing something and saying that this is a Kannada proverb and creating it today, that is doing an injustice. And that's the kind of things that can happen with AI. AI can also tell lies. AI can also imagine things like this. And AI can also hallucinate. Hallucinate is, it can dream and it can say things which are not real. When this happens, the teaching also suffers, learning also suffers. Okay, so this is what the answer it gave. And finally, there are several things it gave, and then it said, no, it cannot be divided by 7. It cannot be. So it cross-checked, and it cross-checks only when we ask it again. So which means, in the first instance, we can use AI for only certain purposes, like management of time and other things. It cannot be a teacher because it cannot learn on its own and give an answer to us which is perfect. Whereas a teacher, a real teacher, will learn, will prepare, come to the classroom with all the questions, all the possible questions, with answers for all the possible questions, and then he or she will also say, if he doesn't know the answer that he doesn't know, he will come back without telling, without anybody's instruction, learning the new thing, then come and teach you. Okay, he will also tell alternative methods, which AI here doesn't, unless it is told, unless it has been taught, unless it has been programmed to do this. Okay, so that's the difference between AI and a classroom teacher, a real person. Okay, and I thank Creactive for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all. I think I took more time than was assigned to me. Hope all of you are still there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was very nice, actually. So can we take questions, sir, if possible?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay, if any questions, you can raise your hand, or else you can unmute yourself and ask.
Sir, namaskara. Can I ask question? Shobha from Bangalore.
ಖಂಡಿತ ಕೇಳಿ.
ಸರ್, AI ರಿಸರ್ಚರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಈಗಿನ ಸುಮಾರು ಇದನ್ನ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ AI ಫಾರ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚರ್, AI ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸುಮಾರು
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ
ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಆಸ್ ಎ ಟೂಲ್
ಹಾ.
ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು
ಹ್ಮ್.
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಬಳಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ
ಹ್ಮ್.
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು. ಆದ್ರೆ
Okay.
ಈಗ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಳಸ್ತೀರಾ ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಳಸ್ತೀರಾ, ಮತ್ತೊಂದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಳಸ್ತೀರಾ, ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ AI ಈಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಎ ಟೂಲ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ದೋಷಗಳಿರ್ತವೆ. ಆ ದೋಷಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ದೋಷಗಳಿತ್ತೋ ಆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ದೋಷಗಳು ಅವು ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಅರಿವಿರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಅರಿವಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅದು ಹೇಳೋದು ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳುವಷ್ಟು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಾವು ಅದು ಕೊಟ್ಟದ್ದನ್ನೇ ಸರಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ AI ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಈಗ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು 20 ಅಮೈನೋ ಆಸಿಡ್ಗಳ ಒಂದು ಮಾಲೆ. ಆ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನನ್ನು ಸಾಧಾರಣವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಗಳು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮೈನೋ ಆಸಿಡ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಆಗಿರ್ತವೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಅಂದರೆ ಅಮೈನೋ ಆಸಿಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಎಡ ಬಲ ಅಂತ ಗುರುತಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಲ ಇರುವಂಥವು ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಎಡ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕಗಳಿರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಇರ್ತವೆ, ಆದರೆ ಅದು ಎಡಗೈ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಅವನ್ನ ಬಳಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾವ ಜೀವಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ನಾವು ಕಾಣೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನೂ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ ಅಂತನ್ನೋದು ರೀತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು AI ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕವನ್ನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳು ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಸತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, 10 ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ 100 ಆ ರೀತಿಯ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇದು ತುಂಬ ಟೈಮ್ ಹಿಡಿಯುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ. ಇದನ್ನೇ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬನೇ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಪೋಣಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಹೀಗಾಗತ್ತಾ ಅಂತ ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಈಗ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನಲ್ ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಅಣು ಮತ್ತೊಂದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೇರಿಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಪೋಣಿಸಿ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ತಂತ್ರಾಂಶಗಳು ಇವೆ. ಇವುಗಳನ್ನೇ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈಗ ನನಗೆ 60 ಅಮೈನೋ ಆಸಿಡ್ಗಳಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಡಚ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತುವಿನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿಕ್ರಿಯೆ ತೋರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ರಸಾಯನ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಬಹುಶಃ ನನ್ನ ಜನ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ AI ನಾನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈ ತಂತ್ರಾಂಶಗಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಅದು ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹುಡುಕ್ಬೋದು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇರೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಬಳಸ್ಬೋದು. ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸಾಫ್ಟ್ನವರು ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ಜೆನ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು AI ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ಜೆನ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾನು ಈಗ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸು, ಇದು ಜೈವಿಕ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ. ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ಜೆನ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇನಾರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದರೆ ಅಸಾವಯವ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಂದರೆ ಲೋಹಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಲೋಹಗಳ ಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್, ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್, ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕಗಳಿರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಇವುಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಸೆರಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬರೋದ್ರ ಸೆರಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೆಲವು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸನ್ನು ಮಾತ್ರ ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಆ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ? ಅವು ಸೆರಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಸುಲೇಟರ್ ಆಗಿರೋದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಹರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಆವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕಗಳ ಅಣುಗಳ ಜೋಡಣೆಯನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆದರೆ ಆ ಜೋಡಣೆಯನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗೇನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಸುಮಾರು 60 ಲಕ್ಷ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದರದ್ದು ರಚನೆಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡಿಸಿ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುವಾಗ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಈ AI ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ಜನಿ ನಮಗೆ ಈಗ 500 ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಶಾಖ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬದಿ ತಣ್ಣಗೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತು ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಇದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಶಾಖ ಹರಿದೇ ಇರೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಣುಗಳ ರಚನೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವುದಿವೆ ಅಂತ ಹುಡುಕಿ, ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಆ ರೀತಿಯದ್ದು ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಊಹಿಸಿ ತರ್ಕಿಸಿ ಆ ರೀತಿಯದ್ದನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಇವೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ. ಇವು ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. ಈಗ ಜೀನೋಮ್ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಒಬ್ಬರ ಜೀನೋಮನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನು AI ಬಹಳ ಬೇಗ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ದೋಷಗಳಿವೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಟಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮುಂಚೆ ಬರೀ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನದಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಈಗ ಆ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅದು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಓಕೆ. ಬಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು, ನೋಡಿ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಕಳ್ಳ ಸುಳ್ಳ ಅಂತನೋ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಸರ್ ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಯಾವುದೇ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಸಿನಾಪ್ಸಿಸ್ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲೇಗಿಯಾರಿಸಮ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗ
Okay.
ಎ ಇಂದ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ನ ಪ್ಲೇಗಿಯಾರಿಸಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ ಸರ್? ಹೇಗೆ ಸರ್ ಅದು?
ಪ್ಲೇಜರಿಸಮ್ ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಅವರು ಇಂಥ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನಾವು ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ
ಹೌದು.
ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪೇಪರ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜಾಣ ಸುದ್ದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸುದ್ದಿ ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಅಥವಾ ನಿನ್ನೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಶನಿವಾರ, ನಾಳೆ ಜಾಣ ಸುದ್ದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಸುದ್ದಿ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಈ ವಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಕಟ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪೇಪರನ್ನ ಆಧರಿಸಿರುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ಆ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪೇಪರ್ನ ನಾನು ಓದಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಬರೆದು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಷ್ಟನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಈಗ ನನಗೆ AI ಅನ್ನು ನಾನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆ ಪೇಪರನ್ನು AI ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇದರ ಸಾರಾಂಶವನ್ನು ನೀನು ನನಗೆ ಬರೆದು ಕೊಡು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬರೆದು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ.
ಓಕೆ,
ಅದು ಬರೆದು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಸಾರಾಂಶ ಸರಿ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ತಾಳೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ನನ್ನ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ನೋಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಅದು ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು, ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾನು ಸೇರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು.
ಓಕೆ,
ಓಕೆ, ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಇದೊಂದು ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಇಂಥ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ನ ನೆರವು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನೇ ಬರೆದಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ತಿದ್ದಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ಆದರೆ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬಳಸಿದ್ದೀವಿ? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಸರ್ತಿ ಬಳಸಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಬರೆದು ಅಳಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನೋ, ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀನೋ ಅಥವಾ ಬಿಸಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನೋ ಅದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನ ಆ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅದು ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಮುಂದೆ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಅದು. ಇದು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್. ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಅದು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಅನುಮಾನ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಚ್ಚು ಬಳಸಿದಷ್ಟು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮುಂದೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಪ್ರತಿಫಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ChatGPTಯಲ್ಲಿ 2022ರ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅದು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದ ಉತ್ತರಕ್ಕೂ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಕೊಡೋ ಉತ್ತರಕ್ಕೂ ತುಂಬಾ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜೆಮಿನಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡೀಪ್ ಸೀಕ್ ಇವೆರಡರ ಮಧ್ಯ ನಾವು ಕೆಲವು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಕೊಡುವ ಉತ್ತರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಏಕೆಂದರೆ ಅವುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್, ಅವುಗಳಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಅವುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್, ಇವುಗಳಿಂದಾಗಿ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿ ನೀವು ಉತ್ತರ ಬರೆಯುವಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಲೇಖನ ಬರೆಯುವಾಗ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ನ ಸಹಾಯ ಪಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ತಪ್ಪೇನೆ ಹಾಗೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಸಾರಾಸಗಟ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಂಬ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಹಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ಬೀಳ್ತೀರಿ, ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಅದೇ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸರ್. ಈ ತಾವು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಟಾಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ AI ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಆಲ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ನನ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ರಾಂಗ್ ಡೇಟಾನ ನಾನು ಫೀಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಅದು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ರಾಂಗ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು AI ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್ ಅದನ್ನ?
ಹೌದು, ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದಂತದ್ದು. ಅದನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದು ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ ಅವಾಗ ಅದು ತಿದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೊಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟನಲ್ಲ, ಆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಯಾರೋ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಉತ್ತರ ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ತಿದ್ಕೊಂತು. ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿನೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇದೆ. AI ಬಳಸುವಾಗ ಅದು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅದ್ರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಉತ್ತರವು ಸರಿ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. AI ಟೂಲ್ ನಮಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಈಗ ನನಗೆ 10 ಪೇಪರ್ನ ನಾನು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಓದಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಾರಾಂಶವನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕೇಂದ್ರೀಕೃತ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಹಿಡಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಓದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಇದು ಒಂದು. ಈ ನಾನು AI ಬಳಸಿದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಸಾರಾಂಶವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅನಗತ್ಯವಾದ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನ ನಾನು ಓದಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಓದುವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಅನುಮಾನ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇಂಥ ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ದೋಷ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಆಗ ನಾನು ಆ ಪೇಪರ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಓದ್ತೇನೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೊಸ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಬೇಕಾ ಬೇರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪೇಪರ್ ಹುಡುಕ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ನಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು.
ತುಂಬಾ ತುಂಬಾ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಸರ್, ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಸರ್.
Thank you.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್, ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕೃಷ್ಣಮೂರ್ತಿ.
ಹಾ ಹೇಳಿ, ಆಗ್ಲೇ ನೋಡ್ದೆ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ.
ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವಾಗಿಂದ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ.
ಹ.
ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು
ಹೌದು.
ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ. ನಾನು
ಹೌದು.
ಈಗ ಹೈಪರ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ.
ಹ್ಮ್.
ಬಟ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಮಾಡದೆ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಹೌ
ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಕಿಡ್ ನ ಅದು
ಆ-
ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್
ಆ-
ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ.
ಅದು
ಹೇಗೆ
ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ,
assess?
ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನೀವು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಹೌ ಡು ಯು ಯೂಸ್ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್? ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಈಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್, ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸ್ಲೋ. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಅದರ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಟೈಮ್, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಓಕೆ, ಇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಬಿ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್ ಯು. ಓಕೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್
ಅದು ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಆ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಅದಾದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಬಳಸ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಇವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಚೀನಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಈ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗಳು ಇವೆ.
ಹ್ಮ್.
ಸೊ ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ದೀಸ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ನೀವು ಆನ್ಸರ್ನ ನೀವು ಬರೆಯೋ ಹೊತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಇದ್ರಾ ಅಥವಾ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡುವಾಗಲೂ ಇದ್ರಾ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದರ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟಿ ಟು ಡೂ ದ್ಯಾಟ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಅಲ್ಲ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಅನ್ಲೆಸ್ ಅಂಟಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಆಗದೇನೆ
ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಆಗದೆ ಯಾವುದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೇಜರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ವಿತ್ ಎಐ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವಾಸ್ಟ್ ರೇಂಜ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ರೂರಲ್ ಇಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗಳಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
ನಾನು 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಇದನ್ನೇನೆ. ನಾವು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗಲಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಿರುವಂತಹ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಕೊಡೋ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ನಂಬ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಹೌದು, ಇದೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮೂಲಭೂತವಾದ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ. ನಾವು ಆದಷ್ಟು ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಬಳಸಿ ಅದು ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂದಾಗ ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು.
ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಮೈಕ್ರೋವೇವ್ ಏನೋ ಬಳಸ್ತೀರಾ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಎಐ ಮೈಕ್ರೋವೇವ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನಾರು ಒಂದು ಕುತೂಹಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಮನೇಲೇನೋ
ಕುಕ್ಕರ್, ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಅದು ಕುಕ್ಕರ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ನೀವು ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು?
ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ
ಅದು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಲ್ವಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಸುಮ್ಮನಿದ್ದೆ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಎಐ
ಬಹಳ ಸರಳವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರದೇ ಇರೋರು ಕೂಡ ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಹೇಳೋದು ಮರ್ತೆ. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಲೈಡು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಲ್ವ ಮೊದಲಿಂದ ಕೊನೆವರೆಗೂ
ನೋಡಿದೆ.
ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳು. ಅಂಡ್ ಈಚ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದೆಮ್ ವಾಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಮೆಟಾ ಎಐ, ನನ್ನ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಮೆಟಾ ಎಐ. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಗೆ ಆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ಗೆ ತಕ್ಕ ಹಾಗೆ ಅದು ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸರ್ತಿ ಅದನ್ನು ರನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಇಫ್ ಇವರು ಪರ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ರನ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದಿ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ನೋಡಿ, ಈ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಮಾತ್ರ ರಿಯಲ್ ಫೋಟೋ.
ಹೌದು,
ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯೂ. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್. ಅದರ ರೀತಿ ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ಮೈ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಒಂದು ವಿಷನ್, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮೈಲಿಯ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತಂದೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತು, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಇದು ಒಂದು ಫೋಟೋ ಮೆಷಿನ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ಮೆಷಿನ್ ರೋಬೋಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇರುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ಓಕೆ, ಇದು ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದೆ, ಒಂದು ಅಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಚಿತ್ರ ಬೇಕು ಎಐ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಜನರೇಟಿವ್ ಎಐ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಐ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಚಿತ್ರ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ರೋಬೋವನ್ನು ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಧಾರವಾಡದಲ್ಲೋ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಶಾಲೆಯವರು ಒಂದು ಟೀಚರ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯಾಗಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ರೋಬೋವನ್ನು ತಂದು ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಕುತೂಹಲಕರವಾದಂಥ ವಿಷಯ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅದೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆದ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಕಲಿಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮಧ್ಯ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಏನು ಅನುಕೂಲ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹುಶಃ ಇವುಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಈಗ AI ಅದು ಏನಾದರೂ ತಪ್ಪು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಒಂದು ರೋಬೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀನು ತಪ್ಪು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹೌ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್, ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ. ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಮಗು ತಪ್ಪು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಹೌ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್, ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೇರ್ ದಿ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ದಿ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್. ಬಹುಶಃ ಅದನ್ನ AI ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಟೀಚರ್ ಒಂದು ಮಗು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ಬೈಬೋದು, ಹೊಡಿಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಏನೂ ಮಾಡದೆ ಸದ್ದಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೆಷರ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ AI ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಡೂ. AI ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ನೀನು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ, ಇಂಥ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ತಿದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ಬಹುಶಃ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸಂಬಂಧಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಪಾಠಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸಮಾಜದಿಂದಲೇ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು, AI ನಮಗೆ ಕಲಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ನನ್ನ ನಂಬಿಕೆ. ನಾಳೆ ಸಮಾಜ ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್, ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಸರ್, ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಾವು ಮೆಷಿನ್ಸ್ನೇ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ನಂಬ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಓವರ್ ಆಲ್ ಮಿಷಿನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು AI ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೋ ಅದ್ ನಾವು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬಿಲೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ,
ಅದು ರಾಂಗ್.
ನೀವು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು,
ಹೌದು, ಮಾಡ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ
ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ
ಆಗ್ತೀವೋ.
ನಾನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಅದು ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್. ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್, AI ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್. AI ಡಸಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಸರಿಯಾ ತಪ್ಪ. ಒಮ್ಮೆ ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಅರ್ಧ ಕೆಲಸ ಅದು ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಉಳಿದಿರೋದು. ಆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬಹುಶಃ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ ಇನ್ನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಕಲಿತೀವಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕಲಿಸ್ತೀವಿ.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಸಹ ನಮ್ ಬ್ರೈನ್ ಸಹ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಿಮ್ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಸರ್? ನಮಗೂ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು.
ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ರೈನ್ ಏನೂ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ರೈನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೇ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಗಣಿತ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದ ಹಾಗೆ ಹೋಗದೆ ಇರೋರು ಕೂಡ ಬಳಸುವಷ್ಟು ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಅಂಗಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಷ್ಟು ಸಾಮಾನುಗಳನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕಿ ಕೊಡೋದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಮಯ ಆಗಿರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾನೆ, ಬೇಗ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಮಚ್ ಈಸಿಯರ್. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದು ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕಿ ಅವನು ಕೊಡೋದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಸಾಮಾನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿನೂ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿರೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಟೈಮು ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ದಿಸ್. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಗಣಿತ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ವಾ, ಗಣಿತ ಅವನು ಕಲಿಯೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಿದ್ದಷ್ಟು ಗಣಿತ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಗಣಿತ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ನಾವು ಕಲಿಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಕೃಷ್ಣಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಗಣಿತವನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕುತೂಹಲಕ್ಕೆ ಕಲಿಬೇಕೆ ಹೊರತು ನಮ್ಮ ನಿಜ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ದಿನವೂ ಬಳಸುವಂತಹ ಗಣಿತ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಟ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಸರ್.
ನಮ್ಮ ಪರಿಚಯ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ
ಸರ್, ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾಧುರಿ.
ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಎವ್ರಿವನ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಸೊ ಎಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಲಾ ಸರ್?
ನನ್ನ ಫೋನ್ ನಂಬರು ಇಮೇಲ್ ಯಾರೋ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನಿ.